Welcome back to our Blue Z Water channel. Today I just want to discuss vision, having a vision. Anyone who started a business, let's say, or even Jim Carrey talks about his vision becoming an actor. He visualized, he wrote a check to himself. This is very interesting. When it comes to healing in the body, let's just say one needs a really good vision, a working vision, one that proves itself. The first time I had a health problem when I was 28 years old, I made one critical step. I immediately thought, what am I doing wrong? And I need to make changes. So I went out and purchased a book and I made 3 changes and it helped. I learned 3 things that made a difference, but I claimed responsibility for the problem. I just instinctively not claimed it. I knew I'm screwing up. I'm doing something wrong. What am I doing? I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And very much to this day, this is the dilemma that we all face. We have a problem, but we don't have any lens or teaching about how we can approach a problem. So we go to a doctor, we get a name, and we get a label, and we say we got to get rid of this name thing. But that doesn't give us any insight as to what created. The name is a sort of a smoking mirror because, there's a lot of inflammatory diseases. So we're told inflammation. Okay, so now you knock out inflammation. Well, what causes inflammation? Is it, so we go on and on and on. You get an infection. What causes the body to allow pathogens to come in and infect us? So the vision, you're going to start off with wherever you've been taught and what you know. What we're trying to do is kind of build a really at the root system vision and help you then have the tools, but you need the vision. So we created this tools chart partially to create an overview of the core foundations of diseases we describe here, and then to break it down and also people call a lot of times and they're told, well, if I do this one thing, it'll do everything. And we want people to know what these tools are, where they apply, what their strengths and weaknesses are. But let's start with a vision. Let's just go through different aspects of this vision. If you start at number 2, number 1 is very ubiquitous to most. Those who've really done a lot of study and inward search can understand this. But for most people, they have a symptom, something's bothering them. Now, this is a critical thing. They want to get rid of the symptom. They have a headache. Their liver has a symptom. Rarely are they taught step number 2. So in terms of vision, this is a pivotal point and can change your life. If you had a river and you went down and you're looking at a flowing river every day, and then one day the river wasn't flowing and you went a mile upstream or downstream, upstream, and you saw a huge blockage, you'd go, oh, okay, the river got dammed up and there's no water coming through. This simple thinking does not exist in terms of how we approach our bodies. Now, if you're a Chinese medicine practitioner, then you understand this. If you're taught this, if you're more into Qigong or Tai Chi, you might have an understanding, even martial arts. Even martial artists don't really have a micro view of disease, so much of disease, where a Chinese practitioner might. But in simple terms, any blockage in the flow of energy can wreak havoc, as we know what a swamp is. So we can get a bunch of toxins, we can get inflammation, all kinds of issues. So now, of course, the reason we don't think this way is because we think, well, what can I do about that? It doesn't make sense. It's too, sounds great, but what do you mean energy body? What do you mean energy flow? If you, again, study Chinese medicine and you're working on somebody, you really crystal clear can see blockages in energy. And then you correlate that to, oh, wow, there's a blockage here that's going to create this problem, let's say in the leg, or this problem around the liver or the heart, whatever. So you have to start focusing your awareness, first of all, on just generically on energy blockages in your body. And now you say, okay, I want to, let's say, take a leap of faith and say, yes, there is energy flow in the body. It gets blocked. What can I do? Okay, so step one, we have our energetic and structural column. You can do a vibration therapy program, which is a kind of a global vibrational program to start moving energy and breaking down blocks. Doesn't cover everything, and you can have some pretty gnarly blockages that might require more work, but this is global. This will cover a lot, and a layperson can do it. Okay, so this is one concrete, yes, I can break down energy blockages. All righty. So now, when we get into systems, if you have energy blockage, let's say in the digestive region, in the colon, then you can become swamp-like and the microbes start festering. So now you're on to kind of, oh, okay, what do I do from there? Because if of course you continually work on moving the energy body, but now you have extra work to do to knock out the opportunistic pathogens. So now you're working on the antimicrobial detoxification, but you now understand, ultimately, this is the foundation. This is what I got to add on to really get these guys out, but I got to keep working this. I got to keep moving the energy body, keep moving it. Now, if the microbes have been there a long time, the body's going crazy and reacting, and has all kinds of inflammatory responses, which it does with any type of disease. Even with this corona, we hear of the cytokine storm. Now you got to work with this reactive immune system. So now you see we got to understand, aha, the stagnation invited the microbes caused the overreaction, the confused reaction, now I have autoimmune disease. Okay, at least now you have a three-level kind of thinking system. You're going to work at moving the energy body as much as possible. You're going to work at knocking out the pathogens that don't want to leave. They made a home, a nest in you. You're going to then work on, oh, wow, I got a lot of reactive inflammation. I got to quell that. But ultimately, if I knock out the pathogens and get this dynamic again, voila. Okay, chi stagnation. Back to the energy body. Let's go again. Let's take another scenario. For instance, if you have a lot of fear and anxiety, the kidney meridian, which represents fear, goes midline on the body, front and back. The front is kidney, the back is called bladder. They go in pairs. Now, in Western medicine, if your adrenal glands are all jacked up, that goes with the kidney, that goes with the fear, kidney, bladder meridian. But just take the adrenal supplements is not enough. So what is going on? What is the intelligence of that expression that's causing the reactivity and the blockages and then the organ issues and the adrenal issues, et cetera, et cetera? So now we have to ask, and this is a kind of a deeper inquiry about healing, what are these trauma memories that are expressing through me? You're getting a clue through the meridian body to these trauma memories. Now, this is another critical juncture in wellness, if you understand this. The energy body is like multiple rivers. It's almost like I call it a 12-string guitar. Every meridian is kind of like a string on the guitar. They're all musical. They're energetic. Anger, liver, gallbladder is anger. Spleen, stomach is worry. Lung, colon is grief. And kidney, bladder is fear. But the memories can trigger all the meridians, some of the meridians. The emotional response is trying to resolve the purification of very deep, in other words, you almost have a multiplex response emotionally to some very traumatic memories. And the very fact that these memories just have been around a long time and not getting cleared, it's almost like you're expressing the frustration of not being able to clean the subconscious. So in terms of vision, you're asking, how can I get to this field where there's this really incredible storage house of memories? And it isn't just your own. It's relationships. It's your mother's and father's memories and their mothers and fathers. So you have this sort of thematic multi-generational suffering. Anybody who's a minority group can kind of feel the suffering of their ancestors. And it is, even if you're not personally afflicted, it's in you. It shows up. So you're wanting to clear very, very deep states of trauma memory, we call it. That's why we have our trauma release program. The reason we created this program, so now you're working with the energy body. It's saying, oh my God, this stuff playing in my mind is causing the body to freeze. The freeze is causing this cascade of events, as we just showed you in that one example on the tools chart. So we have 12 different aspects, and there's more to it. These are just some of the core practices. All of these practices are meant for one thing, to create a better relationship with your subconscious, which is a vast field of information. You have to understand that your subconscious mind, you can't outwill it. It's a lot of aggregation of many traumas that you've been around, that you've been experienced. Now you can try to ignore it. Chances are it's still there. It'll show up in the dream world. It sneaks out and you have a relationship. All of a sudden you break up. You haven't dealt with looking at this field. It would appear to be very dark. And there's a lot of suffering in this planet. So we each carry a piece. So all these practices are ways to help deal with opening up the body to a responsive state and opening up the mind to a responsive state. So you start with the resistance and the freeze and the trauma in the body and train the body to go into a relaxed, non-traumatic response. This is vital. If you can just learn to do this alone and look at the deeper levels of your mind in a peaceful, observational, healing state, that initiates the transformation of these trauma memories. Most trauma memories are reinforced with very reactive states in the body, which we just perpetuate. We perpetuate this trauma looping. Anyhow, so it's very important and vital to practice these, what I call limbic system release systems, deep in the nervous system, deep in the brain, deep in the spine. So please take a look at the trauma release program. All right, so I want to just review. I want to go over, it's worth going over one more time. You have a plexus of memories in the subconscious. It causes the energy body to react. The energy body signals with usually freeze, grip, grab along a line of energy, which is labeled a meridian line. This causes both an emotional response and a disease response, because if you get freeze energy in a certain part of your body, trouble can begin, whether it be an injury or microbes. If it's in the colon, there's a lot of freeze and grab in the colon, then microbes can come in. So then we look at what happens, like the chain reaction. So the mind causes freeze invites in, let's say, pathogens, or it freezes, let's say, the side of your leg and your knee goes out. Now you're dealing with going injury, repair, or systemic diseases, the autoimmune reactive state, when the immune system can't resolve a problem and overreacts. You understand how the mind freezes the energy. I don't want to be redundant, but it's important to be. The mind causes blockages, expressions in the energy body. It can sometimes be a freeze. It sometimes can be excess fire, a lot of inflammation. Bottom line is, it's always taking you back to an action, using the body to do a meditation to clear and clean what's playing in the mind. At the same time, you're dealing with maybe 20, 30 years of damage from not doing this process. You do the foundational work, and then you do the more surface or necessary work to clean up these repetitive states, let's say, of infection or inflammation or damage. You know, if the thing repeats. If your side of your leg is super tight because you've had anger, and it just does this to your leg, that's gallbladder meridian, then you have some work to do structurally. But if you do that and inwardly start to pay attention deep within the body to the deeper states, you'll support the outer letting go. All right, I appreciate any questions. Please contact me, Andrew at blueseawater.com.